So today we'll be entering into topics of spirituality, mysticism, and history as well. And what is the stigmata? So the stigmata is essentially the wounds of Christ, and they appear on the feet, the side. They mirror the marks of the nails and the spear of Jesus' crucifixion. How does this fit into the church? Well, we got it in paragraph 2014 of the Catechism. It addresses the stigmata in a roundabout sort of a way. So it says it's the spiritual progress that tends towards ever more intimate union with Christ. This union is called mystical because it participates in the mystery of Christ through the sacraments, the holy mysteries. And in Him, in the mystery of the Holy Trinity, God calls us all to this intimate union with Him, even if the special graces or extraordinary signs of this mystical life are granted only to some, for the sake of manifesting the gratuitous gift given to all. And then if we look for biblical sources on that, we go to St. Paul's letter to Galatians, and there's a passage in there which states, "I bear on my body the marks of Jesus." While scholars debate the exact meaning of this passage, some interpret it as a reference to the mystical experience akin to the stigmata. Now, when we're talking about the stigmata, the first person to receive the stigmata was St. Francis. Now, I start off with the name of St. Francis here. So we know that St. Francis was born in Italy, in Assisi. He was the first to receive the stigmata. Before the profound mystical experience of the stigmata, he underwent a transformation in his life from a carefree youth, and then his life changed into this humble servant of God. He was a man of the world, did all the things young boys do, young men do, and then he had his first encounter with Jesus, and that was in Aleppo, and that was his first initial encounter before he got the stigmata. He renounces his wealth. He embraces a life of poverty. He devotes his life to prayer and penance and serving the poor. He founded all these Franciscan orders. But St. Francis's holy life and unwavering commitment to following Christ, living Gospels, prepared him for the profound mystical experience of the stigmata. So it all starts off with a life-changing sort of an event. It's a pivotal moment in history. If we go to the account of this mystical event, I'll actually read what Saint Bonaventure says of the event, because I think the way that he describes it is really it's profound. So he states, as it stood above him, he saw that it was a man and yet a seraph with 6 wings. His arms were extended and his feet conjoined, and his body was fixed to a cross. 2 wings were raised above his head, 2 were extended as in flight, and 2 covered the whole body. The face was beautiful beyond all earthly beauty, and it smiled gently upon Francis. Conflicting emotions filled his heart, for though the vision brought great joy, the sight of the suffering and crucified figure stirred him to deepest sorrow. Pondering what this vision might mean, he finally understood that by God's providence he would be made like to the crucified Christ, not by a bodily martyrdom, but by conformity in mind and heart, that as the vision disappeared, it left not only a greater ardour of love in the inner man, but no less marvellously marked him outwardly with the stigmata of the crucified. So at Mount Laverna, we have this this mystical event that's happened. It was, as we say, it's not merely a physical phenomenon, but it was also a spiritual reality. They became a visible sign of Francis's journey throughout his life. His life starts, it culminates in the with the stigmata. So it wasn't like they just suddenly appeared. His whole life was geared towards it. The stigmata of Saint Francis serves as a powerful testament to the transformative power of divine grace and the capacity of the human soul to be united with the divine. Saint Francis's reception of the stigmata marked a profound moment of mystical communion, where the boundaries between the earthly and the divine dissolved, revealing the depths of God's love and the mystery of Christ's redemption. They weren't just physical marks, but they embodied a spiritual reality of St. Francis' union with Christ's suffering and his participation in the salvific mission of Jesus. I think you all get the picture on all of that. So it's much more than, you know, it's all of a sudden that the wounds appeared. There's a lot of skepticism out there, and rightly so, as per the conversation that we were having the day prior. A lot of the conversation regarding the stigmata was of that skeptical sort of a nature. And there are people that have, either because of psychosomatic reasons or because of a religious sort of a fervour, that they scratch themselves and they create these wounds. So rightly so, it should be met with a certain amount of scepticism when we're talking about the stigmata. So there are certain criteria, you know, to determine the authenticity, and the church has set these criteria out. So we look at holiness and virtue. We look at lack of self-infliction of the wounds. We look at the correlation with religious experience. There's medical examinations that occur. We've got stigmatic experiences of others, so the consistency with the experience of other stigmatics, whether it's there. We're looking at miraculous healings, lack of motive for deception. In the world today, there's plenty of motive for deception. You only have to take a look at, you know, reach in and give me $500 and you'll be saved, as a motivation. You've got the psychological stability, endurance of the wounds, consistency with the gospel accounts. Church approval is also looked at there, and we're looking at the impact of the witnesses and the community. And as I was having a chat with Frank earlier on, you know when somebody's stigmata or authentic, it's, you know, their life will reflect it. 800 years, we're still talking about it. So it's something that it becomes self-evident. So we need to discern what's authentic. So there's rigorous examination that needs to happen. You've got contemporaries and accounts from reputable sources that play a crucial role in establishing the authenticity. Witnesses, including fellow friars, clergy and other contemporaries of St. Francis, documented the events surrounding the appearance of the stigmata, and as we've read with Bonaventure, but the after Francis died, they released, they made a release, and you know, they talked about the stigmata in that release. You know, you look at the reputation of those that were providing the witness, whether or not they were credible. The authenticity for discernment is there's a lot of discernment and stuff that goes into that. And as we mentioned, we've got the life of the person themselves. It becomes self-evident, and we've got some of the Pope's reflections on the 800th anniversary there. So we're still talking about the Stigmata of St. Francis. In 2024 was the 800th anniversary, which the Pope commemorated. And the Pope provided insight into all of that, and in some way recognition of all of that. It was so St. Francis's whole life, his radical commitment to poverty, simplicity, and solidarity. So as the Church celebrated the 800th anniversary. But the Pope calls on all believers to rediscover the spirit of this radical love. He urged all of us to emulate St. Francis' example by embracing that life of humility, service and compassion. And in doing so, Pope Francis emphasised believers can bear witness to the transformative power of the gospel and contribute to the building of a more just, compassionate and harmonious world. And ultimately, the Pope's reflections on the 800th anniversary serve as a powerful reminder of the enduring relevance of the St. Francis's message and the profound impact of his witness on the life of the Church and of the world. The significance of all of this, it transcends the physical and embodies the profound spiritual realities and the theological significance. A lot of this is repeating itself, and it is that mystical union between the physical and the divine. It becomes inseparable. We tend to want to pull apart God in all sorts of ways. God is like this, God is like that. He can't be like this, he can't be like that. Why? And this is that mystical connection between the heavenly and the earthly, and it challenges individuals to reflect on the meaning of this suffering, and to find hope in redemption in the midst of adversity. The Stigmata invites us to contemplate the mystery of Christ's presence in our own lives. The Stigmata have inspired devotion, reverence among believers, and that's continued for 800 years now. And as the Church commemorates the legacy of St. Francis and his reception, it calls on the believers to reflect on their own relationship with God and to respond with lives of faith, compassion and solidarity with the marginalised. And ultimately, the Stigmata serves as a powerful symbol of God's presence in the world, inviting believers to encounter the divine in the midst of suffering and to embrace a spirituality of love, forgiveness and reconciliation. There's a legacy. And we've talked a lot of this legacy, which the Pope in his 800th anniversary celebrations talked about. The Franciscan order founded by St. Francis bears witness to the enduring legacy of his spiritual vision, promoting a spirituality grounded in poverty, humility and solidarity with the marginalised. St. Francis's emphasis on care for creation and reverence for all living beings continues to resonate in an age marked by the environmental degradation and ecological crises. His example of love, of a radical love and compassion challenges to confront injustice and work for the transformation of society, echoing the prophetic call of the gospel. The Stigmata serves as a powerful reminder of the transformative potential of encountering the divine in the depths of an individual soul, inspiring us to deepen our faith and commit more vigorously to Christ. As the Church commemorates the legacy of St. Francis and his reception of the Stigmata, it calls us to embrace the values of simplicity, humility and love. And ultimately the legacy of St. Francis endures as a beacon of hope and a testament to the enduring power of God's love to transform hearts and lives. We've looked at the authenticity criteria and the evidence, that's there, which supports the credibility of St. Francis' Stigmata. Pope Francis's reflections underscore the continued relevance, and as we reflect on St. Francis' life and legacy, may we be inspired to deepen our own faith and commitment to serving others with humility and love. It's a bit of an introduction in all of this. As Franciscans, as secular Franciscans, we're required to go from gospel to life, life to gospel, and in this sort of a mystical sort of a way, the Saint Francis with the Stigmata is an embodiment of all of that. It is the absolute pinnacle, the peak of transforming, one's transformation of his whole life, to that of Christ. It's a gift. It's a gift that's given. It's a gift that's given to all of us. It wasn't just a gift for St. Francis. It's a gift for all of us, to help us on our journey as we travel along.